Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's well, that's not going to be very smart, Dave. It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. This morning we have a fantastic guest, and I'm really excited to talk to her because she is a she's a really dynamic person who has a unique approach to some of the things that we often talk about here on the show, which is not sharing this business, not sharing what you're doing with friends, not sharing it with family. She disagrees. And she's also had some other incredible success she's excited to talk about. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you as well. And thanks for bearing with our technical issues here. I have my phone as a backup here in case I need to switch over. So,
No worries.
as you heard behind the scenes there before we went live, we'll figure it out on the fly. And that's kind of a lot of how this business is, right?
Absolutely. It all just, works in the end.
Yes. So, my friends, would you tell me if I have some feedback in echo in the comments? I'll try to pay attention to them as Ashley's telling us about her story. I mean, I'll hopefully try to talk less, which is always a challenge. But tell us what brought you here. Tell us what you were looking to get out of this, Ashley.
So, I don't know. I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, and I'm always looking at new ways that people are generating income online. I've come from a photography background, been a family and wedding photographer for many years. And then I also have a background in network marketing, and I've done quite well with network marketing. And I still support the whole concept. I love MLMs. But I'm always looking to diversify and looking at what else is out there. And
Yeah.
this is something I came across on social media and was like, this is really intriguing to me. Anything passive income is where I want to be.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So you have a success story from
Yeah.
some of the other ventures, and so often we hear people who say, "Well, I failed at these other things," but
Yeah.
you've actually had some success at these other things. And I bet as we continue to talk to, it's not going to be because you were lucky. So, what do you think was the contributor to you being successful in other side hustles, home businesses, actual bit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
These were your own ventures, your own businesses, and now there's no doubt you're going to be successful with this as well, right? So
Thanks.
what do you contribute that to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have never ever been shy about sharing the things that I have been into with my family and friends. I love seeing what my family and friends are doing. I love seeing how, if they get a job in a corporate setting. I love seeing when they have children, personal lives, everything. And so I've never been shy about sharing the same from my end. So it's never been something that I've thought, oh, I don't want to, quote unquote sell to my family and friends. Look, if somebody's not interested, that's totally fine, no big deal. But if nobody ever quote unquote sold to me, I would not be here, and I would not have done well with direct sales either.
Right.
So that's something that I've always thought should be shared far and wide. Opportunities that you get that, you know change your life. I don't know why you wouldn't want to shout from the rooftops.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a lot of people, and gosh, I agree. And what better of, I mean, I can agree either way. You see, I'm very persuadable. I'm very suggestible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can agree that you should, not, share with friends and family because, quite frankly, there's a whole big world out there of 8
Yeah.
billion people, and the very small pool of your friends and family,
Sure.
it may cause most people more frustration than it
Yes.
does actual results.
Yep.
However, regardless of what actually the results that happen, I think what you're talking about is pride and confidence.
For sure.
And that's what you're talking about,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
And
definitely. I don't feel like it's something to ever be ashamed of. I never felt like direct sales was something that I should have to hide from anybody. I love the setup. I love the way that it's structured. I love the way this is structured. I'm very open minded, and I just feel like, why not let everybody decide for themselves? I don't try to censor myself in any way on my Instagram. I share my life. I share funny memes. I share, stuff that happens. I share my children. I also share my business ventures. And I've never thought that the two shouldn't mix, but
Mm.
that's what's worked for me. If
Yeah.
somebody said, like, I really do not want my family and friends to find out about this, I can show you how to make that happen. That's totally fine. But for me in my life, I've never shied away from it.
Yeah. And um, excuse me, I'm just going to switch over onto my phone here while I
Yeah.
ask you the next question. But what is the difference between MLM and affiliate marketing in your, just so we can
Hmm.
give some of these very brand new people
Yeah.
some kind of definitions about what the new, and they are maybe nuances, they're smaller things that,
Hmm.
so thank you for asking, and why don't you give us your definition, your answer to that question.
Yeah. So I think the difference mainly is that you're not depending on other people or building any sort of team on this end with affiliate marketing. And with, sorry, do you want to say something?
No, I'll be right back. I don't want you to get shocked. I'm going to come out and go right back in as you're saying this
No problem.
answer.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay. And then with direct sales, you have to, obviously you have more of a big network because it's network marketing. So you're really working more as a team. And then with affiliate marketing is very independent. It's very much self-led. And I think there's really beautiful things to both. I'm enjoying both of them.
Yeah, I heard most of that. And
No worries.
how am I coming through on audio now? Am I good?
Yeah, sounds great to me.
Okay, sounds good to you. It's interesting. I this morning, you never know what the tools are going to do.
I know. I know.
Um, it's so so oftentimes we're dependent on these tools. Um, but you know what? There's always a, if there's a will, there's a way. And
100%.
how do you not let, I mean, with all these various different ventures that you've done, and now you're doing affiliate marketing online, how do you not, there's probably been so many learning curves, so many little tools, so many little gadgets, if you've done MLM, so many products. How do you not let the little setup pieces that are there in every single thing that you're going to do get you frustrated?
Yeah, you have to keep an open mind for the big picture. What's the end game here? What do you want to do for your family? What do you want to make happen? The rest is semantics. You can figure out anything. You can learn anything on Google. You can learn anything on, YouTube. But what do you want to make a difference as far as your family? And at the end of the month, when you're generating income and the numbers in your bank account, um, you can get past little things in order to make big things happen.
So, was the tech a challenge for you at all? And what?
Not really. I've done a lot of online learning in different spaces, just kind of like trying to make sure I stay current with skills. That's always been something. I'm kind of a workshop junkie. I like taking different workshops, even if I don't know how I'm going to apply those skills at the moment. I often will use them in the future. So when I see something like an opportunity to learn a new skill or anything like that, I tend to jump on it. So I wasn't intimidated. Actually, I find it all like the challenge, kind of an adventure when it comes to affiliate marketing. I like I kind of like being a newbie in a space because there only is one way to go. You can't really get more towards the bottom when you
Yeah,
start out. So if I can start there and not be looked at as any kind of um, professional or like pro of any kind,
yeah.
there's no pressure. I'm just learning and trying and let's see what happens. You know what I mean?
I love that perspective that there's no pressure. I'm gonna go over whole
Okay.
time. I didn't see any real benefit in being in the other on my phone. So
No
hopefully
worries.
this is
Just
just
rolling with
okay
it.
for everybody. Sorry about any echo or any technical challenges. I'll try to shut up and let Ashley do most of the talking. Um, so yeah, like when you look at it from that perspective, it's like you take the pressure off, right? Can you
Yeah,
say
absolutely.
more about that and why I think so many people act like, and I don't know if it's just self-absorbedness, we're just so focused on ourselves, and that's normal. That's not something to feel bad about. It's just
Right.
totally normal. But like we get so caught up, I call it stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. You
Yeah,
know, we,
absolutely.
I mean, we will chase a rabbit hole that's so unprofitable that if you step back, you would never allow somebody else to do that,
So
right?
true.
You know what I mean? But we get so wrapped up in these silly little rabbit holes, and you're aware of those though, right? You're aware
100%.
of those, and you
Yeah.
try to.
Yeah, I'm always trying to remember that people are not looking at me the way I'm looking at me. People do not care as much as we think they care. Um, I get a lot of questions like, how am I going to switch, my social media if I did want to share with my friends and family? How can I possibly introduce this? I'm like, you just do it. You literally just say, hey, I'm trying something new. Do you want to follow? Do you want to be here for my journey? There's no shame in I've done a million things, and the real ones, they'll stick around. You know, if I somebody said this once, if you are worried about what eye rollers are going to say about you, then you may as well give them the pin to your bank account because they are preventing you from changing your life. And I can't worry about when someone's behind a screen what their eyes do. I don't care. I don't care what their finger swipes off of. That doesn't bother me. I have to be more concerned with those I am impacting, those that I am, showing an opportunity to, they may not have otherwise seen.
And are you finding that you're able to, in some ways, not replace those friends, but add new friends, add new people to your life and support group who totally understand what the heck it is that you're doing?
Absolutely. Yes. I have much I don't know how to say this. It's been overwhelmingly more positive than it has been any negative. I mean, maybe there's negative that I just don't see and I don't really care about. What I don't see doesn't really hurt me. So if, any kind of unfollow or anything like that, there's been way more follows to match that.
Right. But the
Yeah.
unfollows, the negative, the critical statements,
Doesn't bother me.
but for most people, they
Yeah.
put all the emphasis on one comment and
Yes, but you're going to
ignore.
find your people. You're going to
Yeah.
find the people. All you're doing is curating your feed. That's it. You are making sure the people that should be there are there. And if somebody doesn't want to see what you have going on, all you did was eliminate an eye roller. There's nothing wrong with that. They
Yeah.
have, something else to look at and they, maybe don't get inspired by what you're doing. That's fine. It's not for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, So what are some of the strategies that you're using to connect with people? Are you primarily on TikTok? Are you marketing on TikTok, repurposing onto other platforms?
I do that, but I'll be honest, Instagram is for sure my main platform. So I will repurpose, and I am on TikTok, but I have barely any traction there. I do almost everything on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is an interesting platform. And it's funny how it comes back. What's your primary approach on Instagram?
Uh, being the realist of the real. If you can, I mean, my last reel was like I just got out of the shower and I was putting
The
my hair in a
realest of
towel.
the real. Ba-bum, right?
Yes, yes, that's right. I just don't put on airs. People don't want to see perfect. Nobody can relate to perfect. Everybody relates to you being like yourself on the fly. Truly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It really is true, but it's hard, right? It's why is
Yeah.
it so hard to be ourselves?
I think we're just so afraid that people uh because we scroll and all we see is this perfection, and we see like filters, and I like filters. I'm not going to shy away from a nice filter, um but we see this curated feed that makes us feel like if we're not that, then we have nothing to offer. But it really couldn't be any further from the truth. I get the most responses on stuff like, that's me in the car with my kids, or like I said, my last reel where I was just like, just getting out of the shower, put my hair in a towel, and I have no makeup on or anything. Like, I think dropping the airs about us on social media is kind of the next big trend, is not having curation, not having a feed that looks perfect. Nobody looks at perfect or very polished and says, I can do that. I'd
Mm,
love to do what she's doing.
yeah,
Nobody. Um, but people look at people that are imperfect, like me, and they go, well, if she can do it,
yeah.
I can do it.
And it's even when people are selling products.
Hmm.
It's not just if you want to do the thing that the person's doing. Even if somebody's selling products, I think there's a distrust, a mistrust, a
Hmm.
skepticism with buying from, yeah, perfectly perfected brands and perfectly curated feeds where you're like, this is like, you're right. The new trend is marketing that doesn't look like marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I think I was muted for a second. Um, yeah, I totally agree. I never relate to anybody who looks really, really perfect. I mean, it's not that I'm not like, oh, go them. I'm not
Yeah,
like negative about it, but I don't ever see somebody who has a very polished presentation and is perfectly well spoken. And I've never thought to myself, boy, I'd really like to do that. I
yeah,
just think, oh, wow, good for them. They're killing it. And then I swipe, but I don't apply it to myself. You want it to be applied to you. You want people to see you and say, I want to do that. Be imperfect. That's
yeah.
the way you're going to get people to see you and relate to you.
And I think we're muting you because it's coming, the echo's coming on from your end for me. No, it's fine, you're fine. But Joanne was doing the investigating behind the scenes and she's finally cracked the code. So this is hard for talkers like you and I'm going to talk and actually you're going to listen and then you're going to talk and I'm going to listen and we're not going to interrupt each other. This is groundbreaking stuff for you and I know, because we're both talkers. I can tell when I get somebody who's like, just like me in that way. But um look, I mean, the truth is that you're onto something right now. What you're talking about right now is a big deal, and it's a big deal from a couple of different standpoints. Number one, it's a big deal from the standpoint of just it's too hard to keep up with being perfect anyways. It is. In the perfectionism and trying to curate the perfect feed and make your TikTok profile, your Instagram profile look perfect. It's just too much to keep up with. It's an unrealistic goal you're never gonna achieve, and it's never gonna be good enough in your eyes. That's the whole thing, is that nobody in the marketplace is ever gonna tell you, now you're perfect and I'm ready to buy. No, but no, that doesn't happen. So what happens is you keep looking at it and it's never good enough for you because of I'm also comparing. And so that's why it's not a good idea. It doesn't even make sense. But also what you're talking about here from this trend thing and who people are buying from and what people are tuning into is just such a big point right now. I want to make sure that people don't miss this, that the old perfect sitting in a studio delivering content is no longer, as a matter of fact, the weirder you are, sometimes the uglier you are. Sometimes all of the things that at one time were like, oh, if you're this, you're not going to be in show business or entertainment or marketing. All those things are essentially out the window, but you still have to know what the hell you're doing. And so what is the importance of getting educated, investing in yourself up front, taking the time to actually learn what the hell you're doing instead of just going to, say, YouTube University or whatever it is, hiring one of these coaches that hits you up in your DMs in our Facebook group and says, whatever it is, what's the importance of just going through like some legitimate training and taking the time up front to get educated instead of getting in this mindset of I need to make something happen right now. So I need to just get into it, which I totally understand, but I think it ends up biting a lot of people in the butt.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And what you were saying about this curation, I come from a photography background and it is really drilled, the curated feed and making everything look a certain way. So if you have to come out of that and like totally change your mindset, just know you're not alone. I had to do the same thing. It's very hard to look at a feed that you're used to, the old Instagram rules of making it look cohesive and that. I mean, it's not like that anymore. I always think about coming to my feed as a stranger and what I would be interested in see, what would catch my eye. And I try to think about it from that perspective. So also to touch on what you were saying with why it's important to invest in yourself, I looked at this as something I wanted to do as a job. I would like to be paid for this. And so when I think about that in terms of education, I don't think it's crazy to invest just like we do with college courses or whatever it is that we're doing that we're trying to learn. Again, with my photography background, when we want to learn new skills, we take workshops. And we are expected to come out of those workshops with a new um, perspective, new skills, marketable skills potentially, and learn things that we can apply in our jobs. And this is no different. I didn't look at it any differently. So when I think about investing in myself and learning new skills, I always think about how I would do that at the drop of a hat for a photography workshop. I would do that. A lot of us would do that, and we have done that with college education. We don't think twice about investing in that way. So I don't really see any difference in this. I viewed it in the same way.
You're viewing it from a professional context also, and from the context of both a business owner, but also somebody who's self-employed, right? And yeah, absolutely. Continuing education. My wife has a degree in psychology and was pretty dead set on having her own practice and kind of following that path until she realized that that's not what she wanted to do for now, anyways. And the amount of, both education, but also she had to do a 2-year internship where she worked for free. And then there's lots of various things, continuing education. She had a couple of different license or certifications, CAPS, certified addiction professionals, stuff like that. So yeah, you're right. I mean, when you look at it from a standpoint of just being a professional in this world, right? No matter what your profession is, but being a true professional, right? Then there's going to be, there's always education. There's always continuing education. There's always certifications, but more importantly, as an entrepreneur, it's just smart to have an edge. I've become almost addicted to buying various different education things or whatever, not in a bad way, in a way that's just, I'm so hungry to just, if I buy an entire course and I find, if I get one little nugget out of it, it's not, I'm like, holy shit. Like, and usually that's one of, that's one of the ways that I'll use certain courses, a copywriting course or something like that. I just bought one from my buddy, Chris Haddad, not a buddy. He seems like a buddy, right? When we are following people online, but I really feel like when people come in, they really view the very low to no cost software that it takes to do this as just only a cost. They also view our education as a cost, not really as an investment, and not really as, hey, this is just a part of doing business. This is like knowing what you're doing and having the bare minimum tools is kind of like the bare bottom to where you can kind of determine, if I'm not willing to do these things, entrepreneurship might not be for me, right? And I need to be honest about that, because I if I just want, if I don't ever want to make any investments in myself, and this is a question that I'd ask every single person, and I'd like to hear your perspective on this. I bet the majority of you, if you answer this question honestly, the answer will be no. It's been a long time, if not. When is the last time that you actually invested in yourself? I'm not talking about a clothing item or something. I'm talking about really, folks, everybody who's listening. When's the last time that you invested in yourself? Like really to upgrade your value, whether that was going to school, whether that was doing something like this, but really, when's the last time? That concept is, it's just very telling that in America, doing something like this is so viewed as this is the land of opportunity, but in college, 60, $80,000 in unforgivable loans where you got to sit there for 4 to 8 years is perfect. But learning something from a successful entrepreneur in a course for a few $1,000s is a scam. You know what I mean? What comes up for you as I say that?
Well, coming from a background of MLM, I've heard the word scam more than I can, more than my fair share in my whole life. So I'm super familiar with that word. And then also with this, people are like, I think maybe because they were used to me talking about a direct sales company, which if they stuck around and they weren't interested in an MLM, like A plus friend, thank you so much. But at the same time, I think that people were weary because they're like, oh, it's an MLM. Even though I was really successful and have been successful with direct sales, they're really like, ooh. And so I think you're so right. People are so quick to write off things, but they will not even blink at spending $50,000 or whatever for a college education, which I'm not devaluing in any way. But it is so funny the way that we are set up and programmed to think that that is a drop in the bucket and expected and just something that you have to pass through. It's crazy to me, but I have never ever felt that way. I actually don't have a degree. So, I mean, I went to college, but I never really got a degree. So, I'm from the school of like life and learning online where I can pick things up exactly the way you said. If I can get even just a tad of, something that I can carry on to another venture or whatever, another skill of any kind, I'm like thrilled. So I also come from that background of like really seeking knowledge and what I can find online. This was to me just another step in that direction. It seemed like a value to me because it's something that I think that I viewed as a job. I really want to make money doing this, and I felt very confident that I would. So it seemed like the right choice to invest in myself to have a return on that, and I've definitely had a return on that.
Yeah, and it's very interesting the amount of personal kind of responsibility that it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur as well.
Mhm.
I know you know what that personal responsibility is
Yeah.
because you're a mom. You have a family, right? I think your husband is out hanging out with your kid right now, so you can do this interview. God bless him. Um, but there's a certain kind of approach, there's a certain mindset to being an entrepreneur that's very different than being an employee. And I see it every single day. I just saw a comment that made me think about it. It was like, well, I'll buy as much as somebody will invest in me. And it's like, man, entrepreneurship is about you taking 110% responsibility for your future, your success, regardless of whether anybody's doing anything or not. Like, uh, it's the world could be doing the exact opposite of what you want them to do. Even the person you're buying something from it could be a total letdown. It could be not meet your expectations at all. And the success of your business is completely dependent upon your ability to keep it moving, right? And I see this every time. People all the time in our community. People are like, I'm not buying because I don't believe you or whatever, or, I'm going to try to, even the thing about us suggesting ClickFunnels, this is a great example, everybody, let me drive this point home with a real practical example. People come through the challenge and I suggest just by, just looking at ClickFunnels, you don't even have to take the trial now. You can finish the challenge, but just get ClickFunnels, right? And then I see people who spend weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months, looking for alternatives, right? And it's like, that's fine. I mean, if you want to look for an alternative, but the truth is that if you would have just taken my suggestion the day that I gave it to you, then you'd have already been down the road. That thing would be paying for itself because you'd be into action, making money, not just still sitting around trying to figure out what you can get for free, right? And people, I see it every day. Every day, people come into the community and they spend it. People are even asking about it in the comments right now. It's like, hey, can I get this for free? Can I get that for free? What? And I understand that. I understand that we're all in different financial situations. But I'm also telling you that we've all been there before. We've all been there where we've had to be in a decision of, do I spend a bunch of time trying to do sweat equity, or do I just invest and just keep it moving, right? And just and focus on productivity instead of focus on setting things up and all that. And it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to go from an employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset to where you're 100% responsible for everything, even if somebody pisses you off, even if you hire a coach and you come to the coaching call and they say you're a failure, you should never do this, it's still 100% up to you as to whether you say, boom, screw you, that's not, thank you for your input, and I'm going to keep it moving. How do you avoid how do you decide kind of, what am I going to spend time trying to put sweat equity and learn on my own and figure it out on my own? And when do you bring in somebody to, whether it be a coach, whether it be take a course, whether it be the surrender of, I don't know how to do this, I'm going to go ahead and, just as you said earlier, kind of be a newbie and take a certain amount of time to soak up everything? Did you dedicate 30 days to where you said, I'm not even going to worry about making money? Did you dedicate a certain amount of time to where you were like, I'm going to have no expectation of money and I'm just going to totally dedicate to learning these skills? How did you what expectation did you set for yourself and for this business when you started about how long it was going to take to educate, how much you were going to dedicate? Were you going to learn as you went? How did you set expectations at the beginning to be able to say, okay, in your case, you did buy you went through the challenge, you went through the blueprints as well. You bought the blueprints. How did you set expectations for yourself to both learn, but then also to get results, and for those to not be too far apart, but also realistic enough that you didn't expect everything to happen overnight?
So, I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagram scale of like the personality tests. If you are, or if anybody is, know that I'm an Enneagram 7. And that means that my life mantra is YOLO. Literally, I am the most impulsive, the most excitable and daydreamy person in existence. So when I see something like this, I'm like, immediately, what are the possibilities? What could I do with this? How can I form this into something that will work for me? And I get excited and I get very, very enthralled to the point where I can't think about anything else. I know people can relate to that out there, when definitely when it comes to affiliate marketing. We watch these videos, we know these people are killing it with this. We know it exists. We know it's, I mean, in our heart of hearts, we know it's not a scam. People are paying, what, 86% of businesses have an affiliate marketing program. Like, it's real. And then we get so excited that we can sometimes burn ourselves out a little bit by just the possibility. And then we post like one video and we're like, all right, when do I make the money? And that's just not realistic. If that happens, like, go you, but that's just not something that I have experienced. So I guess for me, I had to really temper my like childlike excitement over this to be like, okay, it's really a business and I really have to do this and I really have to like put actionable steps forward. Like you were saying, everything falls on you as a business owner 110%. Like it is truly about personal responsibility and owning every single decision you make. And even if they're not the right decisions, still owning them. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, we're going to try this. And my kind of to compare it, my background with photography is with film, like old school still film. And I think that a lot of it, because I love film, there's always the possibility that because I can't see it when I'm shooting it, that it doesn't turn out the way that I expect. I like the thrill of that. I mean, I don't like the possibility of failure, but I also know that with the possibility of failure, there's a possibility of extreme success. There's an equal chance there. And I don't ever overlook that. So when I'm looking at a new venture like this and I'm looking at all these people that are being successful, I really looked at it and said, there's nothing that separates me from them. I have the skills and the know how, and I have everything within me to put forth all of my effort and see where this goes, but not be too worried about immediate um, gratification. So I really was, if it came, it came. If it didn't, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be here for 6 months. I'm going to be here for a year, whatever it takes to see the success I know I can accomplish. But I'm not going to worry about it coming immediately, even though that's like a very exciting, thought process. It's not real a lot of times. So I have to really temper my excitement and know that it's the consistency. If you're consistent, good things will happen. Now, at what rate? That's different for everybody. But I wasn't too concerned thinking, I needed to make something of this immediately. I knew it was going to take the consistency of showing up every single day. And there being days where I'm showing up and I'm not getting paid for it. But there will be days where I will get paid when I am sleeping, and they will make up for those days.
Yeah. And they will become greater also. The days in which I'm making money will become greater than the days that I'm not. And I want to be clear, my friends. My message in your answer was perfect and just so on point. And look, I'm not talking to the people who, if you're so broke, let me just be honest. If you're so broke that you want to start a business, but you can't part with a couple of hundred or a couple of $1,000, then let's be honest. I mean, maybe now's not the time. I'm not trying to prey on anybody. I don't want to tell people that, oh, if you're homeless, you should not be doing this or you should be doing this. I mean, friends, the truth of the matter is most of you have money. Most of you have some money. Most of you have some room on your credit card. Most of you have an ability to be able to part with some time and a couple of hundred or a couple of $1,000. And that's the bare bottom in America of what it takes to start a legitimate business. Just honest. It's just a fact. I think that too many gurus on the internet are like, everybody and anybody can do this. Just get in line. And the truth of the matter is the talk that you're talking right now, you've trained your mindset. Even if we don't talk about the money, which the money is the least important thing, honestly, folks, the money, and we look at the money like it's like everything, like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to spend this to get started. And the money is honestly should be the least of your concerns, because the mindset, our mindset is our biggest barrier. It's not actually our I would say our mindset and our resourcefulness. It's never our actual resources, right? But I can tell that you've trained your mindset to, when you go into something, to have an expectation that something amazing is about to happen versus this thing's about to blow up and I'm going to be an asshole, look like an asshole, and it's going to be a big failure. Talk to us from the standpoint of that we don't have the same mindset that you have, okay, that you've developed, that you've created and built, because I know you have. You weren't born with that. We were all born coming into this earth with kind of like a blank slate, right? It's kind of like, hey, and then we were nurtured to this. So talk to us from the perspective of how important it is to have that that approach that something amazing is about to happen, which I kind of sense with you. It may not be that exact thing that you tell yourself, but versus the this thing's about to be a big failure and sort of kind of almost creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. How important is that?
It's everything. It's everything. Mindset is literally everything when it comes to business owning or uh, ventures of any kind. If I didn't wake up every morning knowing this could be something huge, what would be really propelling me forward? It's the excitement of knowing this can make a huge difference for other people that have come across it. I'm helping other people to also realize their journey and their, way forward. I love that. I love helping other people and other women, especially like me, who are, with children and staying at home and homemaking or whatever you want to call it these days. I love the excitement of having something else going on too. That really, really matters to me. And I know it matters to other women who are at home because sometimes it can be really draining to have the only thing. And it's not for everybody. I mean, there's lots of people who are very fulfilled by having everything they do revolve around their home, and that's fine. But for me, it matters so much to have something going on outside of that. That's just for me. That's just for me to invest into and to become more of what I know I am, and then go back to my family a more fulfilled person. And so I really have always viewed it that way, and something that I can better myself as a mother by being fulfilled outside of being a mother as well.
I I love that. I love that because my wife and I really went through that personally, where she was a the supervisor at a believe in a nonprofit here in a homeless shelter. No, I didn't meet her there. For those of you who might think that might think she was also my drug counselor. No, she wasn't my drug counselor. She's also in long term recovery. We met there, believe it or not. Um, but she was the supervisor of a homeless shelter, and she had worked her way up in that particular company. It was a nonprofit when I met her, and I started this, and then eventually she, we started to talk about what our future looks like, and we had kids, and then she had quit there, and it was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, and I think finding that purpose, it's definitely more. I mean, I didn't go through that. I didn't personally go through that because I had my business, and I had, um, I didn't quit anything or give anything up, right? I only gained more things with gaining a member of our family when we had a kid. But my wife lost something. She lost a lot of her, I'd say, her professional identity. She lost her job. She didn't really want to give that up. She loved her job. Honestly, my wife loved her job. She loved what she did. But she wanted to do what she did for what she wanted to transition out of that for the greater good of our family, right? And come over here and also work with me, figure out some way to work with me. And just for those of you who are also wondering, I didn't always work with my wife. I did this on my own for several years before my wife quit her job. She kept her job. She stayed in her job because we didn't have small children yet. I have an older son. I have an older child, and he was in the house, but he was older, so he didn't require that little tiny attention that these little stinkers require. And so I get what you're saying, not from the perspective of going through it personally, but watching my wife go through it. And how many moms do you think out there right now are going through what you just described, that you feel that you're trying
Uh,
to reach? Are we talking
Tons.
hundreds of millions?
Literally, it's endless. I mean, my small little sphere, it's 95% of them who love having something outside of, the daily grind of motherhood. It really can and make you feel a little bit isolated. Like I said, there's people that are going to be listening to this going, absolutely not. I'm fine. Like, you don't have to tell me. That's fine. I mean, I actually admire that. I think that's phenomenal. But for me, that was just never the case. I'm very driven outside of that. And I need something that makes me feel uh, a sense of hustle, a sense of excitement, gives me the drive to achieve new things and learn new things about myself and about the business. So for me, this is really something that like immediately I saw and was like, I need this in my life, like for sure. And I know there's so many people out there that feel the same way.
Like, I can speak from dad's perspective, guy's perspective, I can't speak particularly from your perspective, but yeah, like, I think guys are it's a little bit more difficult for some guys to kind of, you know, really be like, "Okay, um, I'm gonna do what? Work on my phone? Like, what?" Like, I know I've got a lot of construction buddies who are pretty tough guys, you know what I mean? Um I mean, some really tough guys. And yeah, I think they don't see themselves doing that, but they still want something. You know what I mean? They're always picking my brain, but they can't. I don't really, and I don't push my stuff onto any of my friends. I actually have friends that I don't talk about business with, believe it or not, and I actually really enjoy it. But but there's a lot of dads, there's a lot of guys who are hurting also. You see them on the show all the time. And I can tell you that things got a lot easier after the pandemic to like everybody. Did you notice that too? Like before that, it was like a big scam to have any sort of work from home. And now it's like a household thing. Everybody wants to work from home, right? How has that shifted the people that you either know or the people that you're running into and marketing to online pre and post pandemic?
Yeah. Massively changed minds to be way more open as soon as they saw what was going on and not being able to, obviously sometimes go to work at all. For me, I actually had my direct sales company that I'm a part of. That was right before the pandemic and then through the pandemic. And it saw a huge explosion during that time because people were having way more open of a mind about the entire concept and realizing that there was something to being able to work from anywhere, being able to work in any conditions, and being able to work from home or whatever. It mattered and it made a huge difference. It was like it finally, you could say it all day long, you could talk about it till you were blue in the face in 2019, but until 2020, then it was applied.
It's been funny to watch this kind of transition and also watch people just not wanting to go back to work. People really, when you give them a little bit of a taste of something, of staying, which we all had a taste of it. I don't care who you were, your butt was locked down, okay, and you were at home, and you hated it at first, right? You were like, I don't like this, I don't want this, I don't want to be locked up, right? And then when the boss called and he said, "Hey, guess what? Those lockdowns, they're over, and it's time to get your butt back here in the office." Guess what? You were like, hey, I don't want to go back to the office. Now, there was a small percentage of you who did. I get it. You were like, "Oh my God, get me out of this house," right? But most of us said, "Gee whiz, I'd like to get those 45 minutes in the morning and in the afternoon of drive time back. It's really nice to just commute from the garage to the dinner table. It's really nice to commute from the bed to the garage. It's really nice to be able to, it's challenging. It's got its own set of challenges working from home. You have to set boundaries with family. You have to plan and communicate like you did with your husband this morning, I'm sure. It looks perfect right now, but I'm sure it was chaos getting the kid out of the room and doing all this. And you're traveling, I think, or you're out in a hotel or something. And it's like, there's sacrifices. It's not always comfortable, but tell me how this has impacted, and then we'll bring this in for Elaine to let you get back with your family. But tell us how this has impacted having a business of your own, having a business that has unlimited upside potential and that you can do anywhere. How has this impacted your family?
I'll be honest. So I have three children, and my oldest is 10 years old, my daughter, and she celebrates my wins. Oh, it makes me almost cry. She celebrates my wins with me like they were her own. The example that I'm setting for her is extremely important to me, and I want her to see that you can do things outside of a conventional job if you so choose to do. That there are opportunities everywhere you look, and if you want to embrace them instead of saying, I'm not sure about that, or it looks like a scam, or I'm skeptical, if you jump in and see and learn, with your own brain, not what someone else told you, that you can be successful outside of, going to work at a 9 to 5. If she wants to do that, that's fine. But there's options. I want her to know there's options. And my other two are really young, so they don't really get it yet. They get excited, but they don't know why. But my daughter Gemma really understands that I've always made money in unconventional ways, and I can see that when she turns in assignments at school saying, what she wants to be when she grows up, it's always entrepreneurial based. And I don't think that it would be if I weren't setting the example of it.
That is really, really interesting. That is really powerful. And my daughter says similar things to me, and she's only 6. She talks about owning a business, which is very, very cool. It's just nice, as you said, we're not looking to make decisions for our children, and I sense that with you as well. You just want your children to have all of the information, right? You want your kids to have all of the information. And just so happens that that older son that I was talking about is actually on the call right now. Works for our company, right behind the scenes, back in the green room, the virtual green room. So yeah, it's you want your kids to know, you want your kids to have all the information. You want them to have all the information. And it's nice for them to be able to see, also not just have the information, but to be able to see what it looks like in real life, right? And if some of you already have an existing 9 to 5 job, and I've seen that question come up a couple of times, and we always get it, can I do this while still having a job? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. I mean, there's some people who never, who love their job, who want to stay in their job. We're not here to judge your life. We're not here to say that anything is all, good or all bad. But isn't I think we all agree as human beings, and especially those of us who are parents, that it is so important to have all the information. And who better for us to give all the information and show all the options than to our own children? Instead of just pounding and banging one path into their head and saying, 18 years old, baby, get ready. Get ready. Here's what we should be saying: 18 years old, baby, get ready. If we want to give them all the information, when you're 18, you're going to start getting credit card applications. They're going to start hitting you. You want to talk about predatory? Ooh, it's nasty. It's a scam. Watch out, because your brain is not fully developed at 18 years old. And so when you get all these credit cards, it's going to feel like free money, and you're going to have a tendency to want to spend it, but it's not. Same thing with those pesky student loans. Now, absolutely, if you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, or something that requires, and you're clear about that, I will pay. Let's pull out some loans, but let's be aware that student loans are the only debt that's unforgivable in a bankruptcy. So you have to, there's no way out of this. There's no way out of this. Okay. For the rest of your life, you're going to have to pay this back. Right. And if you want to take that path, absolutely, I'm in full support. But oh, by the way, I also am an entrepreneur. Daddy's an entrepreneur. Let me talk to you about this as well. And let me talk to you about, right, man, that's empowering children. Would you agree?
Agree. Like, I love what you said about like giving them all the options to make their own choice. Like, that's really what it boils down to is there's so many people that just don't know. They don't know that this is the time to make money online. Like, if ever there were a time in history for making freaking money online, yeah, it's unbelievable the amount of opportunity that's out there right now. that, my mom actually will say, her dad, my mom's kind of getting involved now because she loves this. She loves watching me. She loves the hustle. She never really had anything like this. And she's like, all right, I want to do it with you. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I've been helping her get stuff set up. But her dad, so my grandfather, he's always wanted to own his own business. And he's looking at it and he's like, man, this looks so cool. But he grew up in the wrong time for that. And he's like, I just can't believe the amount of opportunity that's out there right now. That was just never it wasn't an option for me. And he always just says that we're just lucky that we can do this and we live in this time period.
What a wise man.
Yeah.
What a wise man, because that is so true. We are, and I try to, I am a selfish human being. I understand that. I really do. It's hard for me to, it's empathy. I'm constantly just trying to curate it within myself, because it's something that we as human beings, were just selfish and self-absorbed. I am anyways. I know you guys are not at all, but I am totally. But man, to just sit here and step outside of myself for a second and think, wow, man, my grandfather, your grandfather, grandmother never had this, man. Never had this opportunity. They were completely and totally confined by their local community, by the people that were within their local neighborhood. That's the only, and if you wanted information outside of that geographical area, of course, some news and radio, sure. But you had to buy a box of encyclopedias, for God's sakes. You couldn't just pull up your phone. So yeah, we're not here, my dear friends, to say that to make you feel shame or guilt about not getting started or not, but we are here to encourage you and invite you to wake the hell up. It's just not going to get any better than this. Wake up. And part of what I was talking about earlier with putting a little skin in the game, put some skin in the game. Hold yourself accountable. If you want to make this work, invest in something. For me, it's like starting a construction business and saying, you know what? I'm just gonna use your tools, right? I'm not gonna buy my own tool. I'm just gonna go out and every time I get on a job where I don't know anything, I'm just gonna call my dad, or I'm just gonna call whoever. I'm not actually gonna try to learn, right? There's no business that you would approach like that. If I was going to start a construction business, first of all, I'd have to get licensing here in Florida. That was one of the main reasons why I couldn't before, was because you have to have a certain amount of years of experience where a general contractor is going to sign off on your license. You have to go to school. You have to take a test. You then have to show up with a half decent looking truck and tools. I mean, I can't show up in an Uber and say, I'm here to give you a quote on your kitchen. Who would really respect that, right? And so there's preparation that I have to go through even if I want to be an old construction worker, an old dusty broke construction, quite frankly, just like I saw my father do. My dad's alive. I'm not saying anything he doesn't know. He's my best friend, but he was dusty and broke, right? And in some ways never even did those things that I just mentioned, at least some of them, right? And so it's like the bare minimum is, friends, if you want this to work, put a little skin in the game, make yourself accountable, and if it's not here, somewhere else, invest in a course, go through it, finish it. If you hire a coach, whether it's here and you enroll in the blueprints and you come to our daily coaching calls, yes, every day, whether it's here, whether it's somewhere else, buy it and show up. Give yourself 30 days of complete and total commitment to learning, and then 90 days of learning and action, putting that learn, do, teach, right? And get into it and immediately start teaching concepts to other people. That's how you cement them inside of your head, but give yourself that time. And I guarantee you, if you put a little bit of skin in the game and stop trying to skirt around, How many people, Ashley, do you talk to who watch for 6 months or follow somebody for 6 months and then finally take action?
Oh, tons, tons, tons. Most of them.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So, there's no time like now. I think you've said that so powerfully and eloquently today. I can't wait to do a follow-up episode with you and just continue to follow your journey. I'm gonna let you get back to your wonderful family and your epic husband, who's clearly your number one, supportive person, and that's awesome. And, those of us who have husbands or wives who are in it to win it with us in any capacity, we got to shower them with appreciation and love, because that will make them want to do it more. Not telling them that they're not being supportive of us. Just focus on the shit they are doing right. Focus on the ways they are supporting us. Focus on any little thing or an adjustment that they're making. Just be the leader. Shower them with appreciation and love. I didn't do that as much as I should have at the beginning. And I didn't realize how much my wife was sacrificing, but just not in the ways that I thought she should have. But it's a beautiful thing when you have somebody who's there with you. I love to know that you do as well, Ashley. And thanks for your time today. Come back and see us again if you would.
Dave, thank you so much. This has been really, really cool for me. Thank you.
Get out of here. Back to
All
your
right.
family. Okay. We'll talk to you later. See ya. All right, my friends. What a just cool story, cool, awesome conversation this morning. Thank you so much for being patient with us as we figured out the sound. I want to just point that out, that at the very beginning of this episode, the sound was screwy. Like the microphones, there was echo, there was feedback. And it was 10:03. And you know what I said? I said, hey, let's just go live and figure it out on the fly. And we did. We went live. We figured it out on the fly. I'm serious. And we ended up having to mute each other because she was giving some. I just want to point that out. Aside from Ashley being an amazing guest and being an epic conversation, I just want to also point out the fact that we got through that. It was an amazing conversation, an amazing interview, and it started off like crap, and we didn't know how it was going to turn out as far as the audio. So, man, I like to share those things so you all can see that it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just hit publish, just hit post, keep going, figure it out on the fly, and I promise you, it'll work out. It'll be better than what you expected. Be legendary, my friends. Get out of here. We'll see you back here for another episode tomorrow. Peace.